The Florida sun beat down on me like a judgment. Relief washed over me as I pulled into my driveway after a long day at the construction site. All I wanted was to take a shower, eat dinner and turn on the TV, but instead I was met with a raving lunatic. My beat-up Ford pickup was a stark contrast to the manicured lawns and pastel-colored houses of this suburban nightmare, yet it was my home. The engine coughed its last breath as I parked, and I stretched, trying to work out the kinks in my back. Just as I turned to grab my lunch box from the passenger seat, I saw her. Karen. Of course. Karen lived 2 houses down, and she'd made it abundantly clear from day one that I didn't belong. The pointed stares, the hushed whispers when I walked by, the way she clutched her purse tighter when our paths crossed. It was a familiar song and dance, one I'd heard playing my entire life. But today was different. Today, she wasn't content with passive-aggressive digs. Today, she was on a mission. She was marching toward me, her face a mask of fury. Her blonde bob bounced aggressively with each step, and her finger was already pointed at me like a weapon. "You," she shrieked, her voice grating like nails on a chalkboard. "You need to pay your fair share." Fair share? What was she even talking about? I sighed internally. This was going to be one of those days, wasn't it? "Excuse me, Karen. I think you have me confused." I tried to keep my voice even, hoping to de-escalate the situation before it spiraled out of control. "I'm pretty sure I pay all my bills. My mortgage was current, my credit card was paid in full." I wasn't sure what she was even talking about. Her face contorted further, if that was even possible. "Don't play dumb with me, Thomas. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You people leech off the system. You drain our resources. You need to start contributing." Her volume was escalating, drawing the attention of a few curious neighbors who peeked out from behind their curtains. Shame and anger mixed in my gut. This couldn't really be happening, could it? Was she really going to do this, here, in broad daylight? I was an American citizen, and was being harassed by a racist. "Karen," I said, forcing myself to remain calm. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I work hard for what I have. Everything I have I earned." I gestured to my modest home, to my truck that was held together by prayers and duct tape. "Everything I have, I earned. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go inside." I turned to walk away, but she blocked my path, her arms crossed tightly. "Oh no, you're not getting away that easily," she snarled. "I know you're behind on your bills. I've seen the notices. Trash pickup, water bill, electricity. You owe it to this community to pay your dues." My jaw dropped. Was she actually suggesting I pay her bills? The sheer audacity of it was breathtaking. "Are you out of your mind?" I finally managed to sputter out. "Why would I pay your bills? I'm not responsible for your finances." She huffed, her eyes narrowing. "Don't lie to me. I know your type. You're probably living here rent-free, getting handouts from the government. You need to start taking responsibility for your actions." Her accusations were so ridiculous, so steeped in prejudice, that I almost laughed. Almost. But the anger simmering beneath the surface was starting to boil over. It was comments like these that caused protests and riots, and I was not about to become a victim of this crazy woman. "Karen," I said, my voice rising slightly. "I pay my mortgage every month. I pay my taxes. I work a full-time job. I don't receive any government assistance. You need to stop making these ridiculous accusations. You're being completely unreasonable, not to mention racist." The word racist seemed to hit a nerve. Her face flushed even deeper red. "I am not racist," she shrieked. "I'm just stating the facts. You people always try to play the race card when you're called out on your behavior." "My behavior?" I repeated, incredulous. "My behavior is working hard and minding my own business. Your behavior is harassing me in my own driveway and demanding I pay your bills because of the color of my skin. I stood my ground, refusing to back down. I was tired of being polite. I was tired of trying to appease people who were determined to see me as something less than human. It was the hardest thing to do, because I knew she was trying to get a reaction out of me. She wants me to scream, yell, or even better become violent. She would love the chance to call the police on me. Call me a thug, or say that I was threatening her, but I would not give her that satisfaction. I would stay calm, explain myself properly and win. I am an American citizen, and you have no right to accost me, let alone demand money from me. I work hard for what I have, and frankly, I don't have to explain myself to you. Now if you would please leave my property, I can start to enjoy my evening. I spoke with a calm but stern voice. My face was not one of anger but one of seriousness. Karen was about to find out that I was not just some pushover she could intimidate. I thought that would be the end of it. I really did. I envisioned her sputtering a few more insults before finally retreating to her perfectly manicured lawn, defeated. But I was wrong. So wrong. Instead of backing down, she pulled out her phone, her fingers stabbing at the screen with violent precision. "Fine," she shrieked. "If you're not going to cooperate, I'll just call the police. They'll make you pay up." She began to dial 911. My heart sank. This was escalating way too quickly. "Karen, don't be ridiculous," I pleaded. "There's no need to involve the police. This is a misunderstanding." "No, it's not," she snapped, holding the phone to her ear. "This is theft, plain and simple. He's refusing to pay his bills and stealing from the community." I could hear the 911 operator on the other end of the line. "911, what is your emergency?" "I'm being robbed." Karen wailed into the phone. "This man is refusing to pay what he owes, and I'm afraid he's going to become violent." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Robbed? Violent? This was insane. "That's a lie," I shouted. "I haven't stolen anything. I haven't threatened anyone." Karen ignored me, continuing her fabricated tale to the 911 operator. "He's right here in my driveway, yelling at me. I'm scared for my safety." I knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said to the phone. "My name is Thomas Clifton, and I am the one being harassed. This woman is making false accusations against me because of my race. I haven't committed any crime, and I want to file a complaint against her for harassment and filing a false police report." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Sir, please stay calm. Officers are on their way to investigate." I hung my head. This was a nightmare come to life. I knew that simply being a black man in America meant I was fighting an uphill battle every day of my life, but I never anticipated this. But I know that telling the truth and behaving myself were the best courses of action for now. Hopefully, the police would see through her lies and understand the absurdity of the situation. But a part of me, a very large part of me, feared the worst. The flashing lights of the police cruiser were like a strobe in the late afternoon sun. My stomach churned with a mixture of anxiety and anger. I knew I was innocent, but I also knew that innocence didn't always guarantee safety, especially not for someone who looked like me. 2 officers emerged from the vehicle, their faces grim. One was a young white man, barely out of his 20s, the other was an older black woman, her expression unreadable. Great, now I get to worry about how racism affects both of them. Karen rushed toward them, her voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "Officer, thank goodness you're here. He's refusing to pay his bills. I told him he needed to pay, but he wouldn't listen to me, then he stared yelling at me, then refused to pay." The young officer held up a hand, stopping her mid-rant. "Ma'am, please calm down and explain what's going on." "He's stealing from the community," she shrieked, pointing at me. "He's not paying his fair share. He needs to be arrested. The female officer looked at me, her eyes filled with a weariness that I understood all too well. Sir, what's your side of the story? I stepped forward, keeping my hands visible. My name is Thomas Clifton. I live here. This woman, Karen, is harassing me. She's demanding that I pay her bills because, according to her, I'm not contributing to the community. I don't owe her any money, and I haven't committed any crime. I explained everything slowly and carefully, making sure to emphasize the racial undertones of her accusations. It was important to make sure that they understood that this woman was attempting to paint me as a criminal based on the color of my skin. The young officer looked skeptical, but the female officer's expression remained neutral. She turned back to Karen. Ma'am, do you have any proof that this man owes you money? Karen sputtered. Well, no, but I know he's behind on his bills. I've seen the notices. He's probably leeching off the government, too. The female officer sighed. Ma'am, those are serious accusations. Do you have any evidence to back them up? Karen's face turned an even deeper shade of red. I don't need evidence. It's obvious. Just look at him. The female officer finally seemed to lose her patience. Ma'am, that's enough, she said sternly. You're making accusations based on assumptions and stereotypes. That's not how the law works. She turned to the young officer. Officer Miller, run his name and address. See if there are any outstanding warrants or reports of suspicious activity. Officer Miller nodded and walked back to the patrol car. The female officer then turned back to me. Mr. Clifton, I apologize for the inconvenience. This woman's behavior is unacceptable. A wave of relief washed over me. It seemed they were finally starting to see the truth. Thank you, officer, I said, my voice trembling slightly. I appreciate it. While Officer Miller checked my record, the female officer continued to question Karen. Ma'am, do you understand that filing a false police report is a crime? Karen scoffed. I'm not filing a false report. He's a criminal. Ma'am, you have no evidence to support that claim. In fact, it appears you're harassing Mr. Clifton based on his race. That's also a crime. At that moment, Officer Miller returned, shaking his head. No warrants, no reports of suspicious activity. He's clean. The female officer nodded. Thank you, Officer Miller. She then turned back to Karen, her voice ice-cold. Ma'am, you are hereby informed that you are under arrest for filing a false police report and harassment. Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. What? You can't arrest me. I'm the victim here. The female officer sighed. Ma'am, you're only digging yourself deeper. Put your hands behind your back. Karen refused to comply. I'm not going anywhere, she screamed, flailing her arms. This is all a mistake. You're all being discriminatory. The officers attempted to handcuff her, but she resisted, kicking and scratching. Get off me, she shrieked. I know my rights. The female officer, clearly having reached her limit, pulled out her taser. Ma'am, you need to calm down and comply with our instructions. If you continue to resist, I will use this taser. Karen didn't listen. She lunged at the female officer, attempting to claw her face. In response, the officer deployed the taser. Karen crumpled to the ground, writhing in pain. The officers quickly handcuffed her and helped her to her feet. She was still screaming and yelling obscenities as they led her to the patrol car. As they were shoving her into the back seat, she turned to me, her face contorted with rage. This isn't over, she screamed. You haven't heard the last of me. I watched as the patrol car sped away, its sirens wailing. A strange mix of relief and exhaustion washed over me. It was finally over. Or, at least, this particular chapter was. I sighed and went inside my house. The rest of the evening played out in a blur. I managed to take a shower and make some dinner, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I knew that even though Karen was in jail, her prejudice and hatred were still out there, lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic community. The next day, I contacted a lawyer and filed a restraining order against Karen. I also filed a formal complaint with the police department, detailing the events of the previous day and requesting a full investigation into her actions. The story spread like wildfire through the neighborhood. Some of my neighbors expressed their support, while others remained silent, avoiding eye contact. I knew that some of them probably shared Karen's views, but they were too afraid to voice them openly. The truth is, the incident with Karen shook me to my core. It was a stark reminder of the racism that still exists in this country and the challenges that black people face every day, and it was something that was not going to leave my mind soon.